Hey guys, it's Yorkie here with some Project Cars gameplay, and today we're going to be driving the Renault Clio Cup RS car in a Renault Clio race around Brands Hatch. The weather is in heavy cloud. Looks like we are starting in P11 out of 19 or 20 or so cars, getting a fairly slow launch off the line. The reaction time to the green wasn't all that great, so we've lost a little bit of ground immediately from the start as we now approach turn 1. Looking to take this fairly cleanly and get the apex, which we do manage to do. It looks like we've got a car off on the gravel on the outside there, who's going to rejoin just in front of us to our left as we look to the inside of this pink Angry Ant car, locking the front brakes ever so slightly. I've got traction control and ABS off. Looks like we managed to gain 2 positions in that right-hander there, and now coming into this fairly fast left-hander, using the curb on the inside and bouncing and lifting the inside tyres, as it looks like we've got a slightly better run to the than the guy to the left of me, but he's on my inside for this long left-hander leading out onto the back section of the circuit, so we're going to have to give him plenty of room, but allows me to get on the power slightly earlier than he does, and there you can see me pulling in front of him ever so slightly, and it looks like the guy in front is rather awkwardly lifted off the throttle, so there's a little bit of contact there, just there. I wasn't entirely expecting that, which is going to put me on the back foot and has now given an opportunity to for the AI to get around onto my outside. I'm going to have to give him plenty of room in these 2 corners, giving room now on the exit, as you can hear him using the curb. There he is, just reappearing in that wing mirror, and is now in the rear view mirror, so they look like the 2 guys in front of me have traded positions, and we're now coming into this fairly fast left-hander, using the lift-off oversteer of the car to try and get it turned in towards the apex, and then powering on heavily out of the exit of the corner, which does produce a fair amount of understeer. Obviously this car is a front-wheel drive car, so it does suffer from those 2 features quite significantly. It makes for some fairly interesting racing. Once the tyres are up to temperature, they're fairly easy to handle, but they're also quite a lot of fun. They're not downforce dependent, therefore you can race fairly closely with the guys in front of you, and as you can see, wrestling with the car into turn 1, trying to get it in towards the apex. I'm going to go defensive to the AI driver behind me on the inside of turn 2, but it looks like he managed to hold that position fairly nicely. Turn 1 is a fairly tricky one. Obviously on the brakes, the front end is being heavily loaded with all the weight of the car at the front. Obviously the rear got no weight at all, just goes very, very light, and it just wiggles its tail around, and as you saw, I was fighting it, and it looks like it didn't have a great run through that left-hander there. The guy was challenging and looking fairly threatening on my inside. He's there on the left-hand side somewhere. There he is now, pulling up alongside. I've got the inside for this corner though, however I do back out, and it looks like he's giving me a little bit of room, but I'm not going to take it. I'm just going to sit behind him for the moment, as he does look to be a little bit quicker than I am at this stage of the race. So I'm going to see if I can use him to help pull up to the guys who were behind me, as I was dropping back from them a little bit. You can see that visually. So hopefully we can use this guy in front of me to our advantage. As you can see there, the lift off oversteers, the rear end goes very, very light indeed, and it just helps to get the car turned in, but obviously it turns the car in a little bit too much sometimes and can actually hinder the corner and the speed that you're initially taking into the entrance. So starting the 3rd lap now. It's the 6th lap race in total, so fairly short. The AI difficulty is on 93%, and again you can see the rear end going very light, having to fight the wheel to try and keep it under control, and it looks like we've gone and lost some ground to the guy in front of me. So just trying to get used to the car. I haven't driven these cars all that much, and you can see there the amount of understeer that you get once you get heavily on the throttle. You can balance the throttle a little bit, and it does provide some neutralization in the car, which does allow you to get or keep the car fairly tight and keep a fairly decent line. But once you push the throttle past a certain point, the front end just becomes extremely light, with the power shifting all the way to the back, and the car just understeering, or will understeer. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up because I caught a bit of understeer. Jesus Christ. Caught a bit of oversteer, as you just saw a couple of corners ago. So we have gone and lost quite a large amount of ground to the guy in front bouncing over the curb rather awkwardly on that right-handed kink there. Coming to the left-hander, hooking that up rather nicely. But it looks like the AI tend to get a better run coming out the exit of that corner and get a bit of a run at me coming down into the penultimate, should I say the final corner here. That right-hander that I've just taken. And they seem to get onto the brakes a little bit later than I do as well, which allows them to close up a little bit more. We do end up taking the same apex speed. Let's see if we can take turn 1 cleaner this time. A little bit cleaner, kind of, sort of. Initially in the early stages of turning, it looked okay. Obviously quite a few bumps leading into turn 1 and where it dips away. It just adds to the lightness of the rear end of the car, and also caught the curb on the inside there as well, which did lift the inside wheels, which would have taken away some of my steering capability, and that's probably what pushed me further out wide into the gravel on the exit. So you can see me struggling with the car a little bit. Obviously I can't keep pace with the guys in front. They've pulled out quite a significant margin. I'm having to look into the rear view mirror quite a fairly large amount to try and keep the guys behind me and see what they're doing more than anything. It's very much a defensive drive by me rather than an attacking one. And you can see running wide using the exit curve slightly. It looked like the guy was looking to the inside, so I did glance across to see where he was, but he did pop back in behind me. Again, it looked like he was sticking his nose down the inside of me there into that left-hander, but I was always going to take the apex. And fortunately, with the significant AI improvements that have come fairly recently, he backed out of it. However, he is there now on my inside. There was no contact. That was me just purely getting on the throttle to try and see if I can hold it around the outside and give him plenty of room, but obviously too much throttle is going to push me wide on onto the gravel, so I've lost one position. I've got a car down my inside now as well, so I could lose two here, and that is exactly what happens. Slipped up the inside there into turn 1 and having a little bit of a look coming down into turn 2, but locking the front wheels. Wasn't quite close enough to put my nose in anywhere near alongside him and make a threatening position. However, it looks like we got that left-hander kink nailed down pretty well. We're going to slot in behind the guy here through this long left-hander, dropping down into third gear mid-corner to try and get a bit better acceleration coming out through the exit. See if we can try and pick up a bit of slipstream here to the guy in front. Obviously, these cars not having an amazing amount of speed. There isn't all that much slipstream. You do need to get very close to see any kind of effect. You can see him looking to be a little bit defensive in a couple of places. You can see him moving to the inside there and then coming back to the outside. I've taken that opportunity to stick my nose down the inside here, but it's a little bit questionable as to whose fault that was. I'll probably admit some blame for that. He's still there. He is. Pop back in behind me and the guy behind as well. Yeah, a little bit questionable as to where the blame lied. Probably was a little bit ambitious, even more ambitious, trying to take that corner at that speed, going very deep, running into the gravel once again, losing a position, going to lose a second position here as we come into the final lap. This hasn't been a great race for me. It has not been very clean at all. Generally struggling with the car, to be honest. It's not a car that I'm used to. I did have a fair bit of fun driving it, but obviously you can tell I haven't come to terms with the car. Haven't quite got used to it and how I should be driving it. So yeah, losing a lot of positions. Not sure what position I'm actually in. Obviously, in a lot of the videos that I run with the HUD off. It just feels a little bit more immersive, though it does give a lack of information to you guys and also to myself in critical times like these, when I've lost count of how many positions I have actually lost and gained, and obviously the display on the car not showing my actual position either. It just shows an array of information about the car itself. It looks like we're closing up to the guy in front a little bit. I want to try and see if we can threaten a position See if we can take it back at some point. You see, closing fairly significantly through that right-hander, and then through the left-hander, getting the apex hooked up a fair bit tighter, but running onto the grass, running out wide, which is going to cost me a lot of the momentum that I would have had coming down to the final corner now. Picking up the apex quite nicely, still running wide upon the exit there, as we do come across the start-finish line to finish in when the positions pop up. There they are. So I'm not in the top 10. Try and remember where I am. Eventually I get it. There we go, finishing 14th position out of 19. Probably, I think there's about 20 odd drivers, so not a great race. I do believe I started in 11th, so yeah, went backwards through the field. But nonetheless, hopefully you guys enjoyed that kind of gameplay. They're very fun cars to drive. You can race them fairly close, and as you can see, a fair bit of training of positions with the AI, and also the AI showcased rather nicely indeed. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Please give it a rating. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and hopefully I shall see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Take care.